All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Talking That Talk Official Podcast, where we have comfortable and uncomfortable conversations. I'm your host, Juice, aka No Ordinary Brother.
All right, what's good, world? Welcome back to your favorite podcast. I go by the name of King Exodus, aka X. We have a very controversial episode to discuss. Hopefully, everybody that indulges in the conversation has emotional intelligence to be able to even watch the episode and appreciate it. So, Mr. Ye, I won't call him Kanye West. Mr. Ye did a Drink Champs interview recently where he made statements constantly referencing Jews and Jewish people and their culture. He brought up comments about the George Floyd incident. He brought up comments about a lot of things that affect our community as a people. And, you know, the whole backlash is that all these comments are negative. Even went on, Nor even went on an apology campaign. You know what I mean? So we're going to put all these things into the conversation. We're going to break down some of the comments that he made, how we interpreted the comments. And we cannot speak for just one sector of people, the people that don't have the emotional intelligence or the intelligence to understand the interview in its entirety. What a lot of people do with Ye is they highlight words and information, but they never engage within the full information, his full dialogue. That's like when he said, he said slavery was a choice. That's not what he said. He said 400 years is a choice because it was more slaves than it was slave masters. So in order for them to be enslaved for that amount of time, they had to be enslaved mentally. This is what allowed it to continue within its entirety. Okay. So that's the brief opening behind it. So we're going to dive into this. Juice, I'll let you pick which part of the conversation you want to tap into first, and then we're going to go.
Man, let me first start off by saying I gotta respect Kanye West. His name is no longer Kanye, it is Ye. I love how he brought that aspect out when he was doing this interview. He's like, yo, nobody want to respect me, but my name is no longer Kanye, it's Ye. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gave respect when Cassius Clay changed his name to Ali. I forgot what fight it was. I'm pretty sure you know the fight where basically the dude kept calling him Cassius. He said, that's your name. Like, no, my name is Ali. I ain't never tell you my name was Cassius. He said, well, that's what I know you. All right, during that match, I'm going to make you say my name. So that's what basically Ye is on right now. He's letting you know, like, yo, this is Ye. This is not Kanye. This is a whole different person. I gave birth to a new being. And we got to be able to respect that. One of the main things, I enjoyed the interview. I watched the interview 3 times. And some of y'all will be able to watch it. Some of y'all won't be. I advise everybody to watch the interview before they take it down. They have been taking it down multiple times and people have been re-uploading them. But please, watch that whole interview with an open mind. You'll be able to see a lot more things. I guess the first thing we'll knock out when it comes to that interview, I do want to talk about the power in your words, right? One thing I loved about Kanye during that interview, he kept on being careful with what he was saying, but he didn't mind letting you know what's up, right? He'll go from the clean Christian part real quick, then just switch back over to, I got to be aggressive. I got to make sure people feel me, you know what I'm saying? People was trying to say like he was kind of intoxicated and stuff like that. The show's called Drink Champs. Everybody's drinking. I was like, what's the point like of you saying that when you know everybody's taking shots? I love the fact that he said, look, we're going to have to start right now when it comes to this black economy. He said, instead of Hennessy, we're drinking Douce. Shout out to Jay-Z. You know, we didn't heard about the bad blood, but he's saying, look, I'm starting right now. We got to get our people right. Let's only do stuff that's going to build our community up from there. And I love his sayings that he was saying. Like, he had a lot of little metaphors in there, but made a lot of sense to certain people like me. But yeah, I'm going to bring that up, man. Choice of words, man. You can see how he was filtering through his mind what he wanted to be careful with saying. But yeah, man, what about you? What did you peep about the choice of words he was using?
All right, so let's do this. So the most offensive thing that people took away from it was the constant mention of Jews. Jewish people this, Jewish people this, Jewish people that. So let's do a little background, right? Before we get to Jew. In the 1500s, you got Jay Hawkins. Uh, Pretty much this guy produced the first slave ship, right? That was funded by Queen Elizabeth. Let's pause. Now, Queen Elizabeth that just passed, a lot of black people was like, rest in peace, mourning her death, not understanding the lineage that she comes from, right?
Ooh.
You would not have a transatlantic slave trade if you didn't have a Queen Elizabeth that first funded the first slave ship.
Mm.
All right. The name of the ship, Jesus of Lebec. Jesus. Okay. Let's take it a little bit further. We study history, right? We study conquerors and rulers. You got Philip II of Macedonia, which was the father of Alexander the Great.
Mm.
Without Alexander the Great continuing on his father's legacy, you do not have that invasion that he had on Africa, right?
Mm.
And he specifically invaded Egypt, right? So you have what Constantine put in play. You have Scipio Africanus, you know what I mean?
Mm.
The general that knocked off Hannibal Barca in his conquest of conquering Rome at that time.
Mm.
So you have all these things that set in place and set in place of emotion that, we tap into the Council of Nicaea. These things are producing the background that they interpreted as Jesus, which leads to Christianity, Judaism, even certain parts of Islam. It's all coming from a Greco-Roman influence on Africa.
Mm.
So now we can get further into a group of people called the Phaeocians. We have to study these things to see how did we come up with this term, Hebrew, Jew, all these things compiled together.
Mm.
So now we have a battle of who's really the chosen people. You got quote unquote black Hebrews, which Kanye mentioned,
Mm.
right? The
That's black.
darker Jews that come from the blood of Christ, the 12 tribes, right?
Right.
From that, we have groups like Hebrew Israelites, right? Their interpretation of the doctrine is totally different from the real Jews of modern day time that claim to be the Jews and the chosen people of Israel.
Mm.
So we have different groups of people racially, how ironic, reading the same scripture that's getting two completely different interpretations. But what we do know is one group is eating, one group is not.
Mm.
So we're going to trickle this back into modern day and time.
Mm.
The people that's eating that Kanye spoke about, right? The lighter Jews, we can say, let's keep it friendly. Um, those are the ones that he said run sports, entertainment, Hollywood.
Media, all that.
And they got this threshold, this they arm around the neck of quote unquote the darker Jews, or even if you don't identify with that,
Mm.
black people. So I'm gonna speak for the people that believe in the Bible, the Jews, right? Who get the shorter end of the stick of being Jewish. And then I'm gonna speak for the people who say all that shit is allegory, it never existed, but I still see what dude is talking about because black people got the shorter end and different groups got the higher end of the same stick. So he's constantly saying, hey, these people run this, they control this, they control that. Where the fuck is the backlash? Are we saying that's not true?
Mm.
When he said, yo, hey, black people in sports and entertainment, put up your contracts. Everybody got quiet. You know what I mean? He said, hey, do you know any black people that own labels and own something and got a Jew signed to their ownership? He said, it doesn't exist. So I just wanted to crack that barrier historically and in modern time. How I said, it's two different groups of people. One group is going to say that shit is allegory. I know the truth. Another group is saying, hey, I follow that, but I don't agree with who these quote unquote Jews of modern time claiming to be who they are. So whatever you got on that, you want to take it somewhere else, I'm cool.
I mean, yeah, cool. That's cool. I mean, yeah, you have people who said that the Jews now are the ones who adopted um, the methods later on. You have those who adopted themselves into the religious beliefs later on. Some of these people are also called Zionists. I don't know if y'all know what type of group of those individuals are, but all
Right.
this is very much true. You also had what's that dude, man? He mentioned him in the show, man. One of the biggest media people right now. And he even spoke about it as well, right? A lot of people when they was able to stay alive during the Holocaust, they changed their religions and beliefs as well for the intention to stay alive. But once they crossed seas, they went back or adopted something else later on down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I always say, if y'all don't pay attention, black people can always point out the white man, right? The white man got this, the white man got that, the white man right there. But if the black man says the Jew man, then it's like, oh, hold on, man.
You trying to be specific.
Yeah, you try to really go there, man. And it's really interesting. What's up, Teddy? And it's really interesting that damn, like it's interesting to see like we can go from the white man doing all this shit, but if we say the Jew man, then it's like, oh, bro, you crossed the line.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to one of my Hebrew Israelites elders the other day, and I said, yo, I honestly think some people are starting to wake up to some of these methods,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the reason why I said that too is because if a person keeps mentioning a certain religion or background or saying Jews as a people, and people are getting canceled out, shut down, or stripped of their finances, then it's like, hold on, but who goes to this extreme if it's not somewhat true?
Mm-hmm.
And we got to pay attention to that as well. It's like, yo, nobody attacks what they say, nobody attacks the truth harder if it's not truthful. So I always have to keep in mind during that interview as he's talking, like I'm calling some of my other Hebrews. Like I said, I'm getting in touch with different people of the culture, right? And one of the main things he said that was super huge to me, he said, look, it's amazing as a black man, right? If I'm a black man, I'm doing something wrong, and other people are in my car, we all gonna go to jail for it, right? I actually lived that scenario. I actually
Right,
lived that scenario.
right,
That's the
right,
crazy part. And
right.
he said, but however, if one of us makes it out, then
Mm-hmm.
it's only that one individual that makes it out. But he
Right.
said, when it comes to another culture appropriations, one individual that does something wrong is just that one person.
Right.
However, if that one individual becomes successful, then it's everybody becomes successful. And and I read, you know, I'm a book reader, and I remember reading this article as well as watching this documentary. They said, look, when one Jew gets paid, five of them get paid, and
Mm.
I was like, shit. He
Okay,
said
so
they all do the networks within themselves.
mhm.
And one thing I mean, looking at that, what we got a person right now on the platform named Teddy. Teddy's 100% about that. Teddy been doing his investment. He's been doing stuff. He makes sure whatever he does on one sale or one product, he can get paid off in multiple ways. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Teddy got exotic cars. Teddy do rapping. Teddy shoot video. He's making sure he can still get paid off of that to where he can empower himself as well as his culture as well. So I do want to keep that in mind. Like whatever you do in this world, find five or like four other ways you can get paid off of it, right? Um, Not to be long with it, then I'm gonna let you give it to you. For instance, I connected different businesses not too long ago, right? I connected the sports bar to the winery, right? He said, "Hey, look, you're a business. We're both black. Look, I'll buy some wine for you. Put it in my bar. Boom. He has wine. He gets paid off that business, right? Another person has a meat market. Connected it with that. Like it's just multiple ways. I'm making sure if they buy one thing at the, all they got to do is buy a wine, a chicken wing, and something else. All three of them gets paid. So that's why I'm trying to say like this is how multiple people get paid at one time. What you got?
Okay. So great job, brother. Great job.
Go
So
ahead.
Kanye Ye brought up another right comment. He brought up the 444 album by Jay-Z. And he said some of the backlash Jay-Z got for that album was that he was giving away Jewish secrets to the masses, right? On how to obtain wealth. And even if we look at that 444 and we like in a four corner contract of the world, and it's like a synchronicity with those fours. I'll let, you know what I'm saying, like that's a whole nother conversation. But one of the lines in the album, he was like, what's better than throwing money in a strip club? Credit. You want to
Yeah,
know how Jews own all the properties in America? That's how
that's
they
how
did
they
it.
get paid.
All right, so that's one of the gems. You know what I mean? Um, we definitely as a people have to understand, not just black people, but the masses have to understand how to properly utilize credit, right? So this is just one of the nuances that Jay-Z brought up within that album that Kanye made mention of for a particular reason. So when he keeps saying, hey, these people do business like this, they do it like this, they do it like that, it's nuances that he was trying to expose within those comments. You feel me? So it's like if the community of people get offended by somebody mentioning their ancestry and how they came into power, that only can trigger somebody if they either are ignorant to the truth of
Mm,
how their culture came into the position that they are, or
mm,
they know and they themselves don't want it to be exposed to the masses,
mm.
right? Even the game Monopoly, right? The Monopoly game of money, that was like catered around that culture of Jews. You know what I'm saying? People don't even understand that.
Right.
Even
It
before
really was.
mention of the banks, quote unquote, the Federal Reserves, after the Depression, you have families that came together and say, look, we never going to end up in this position again. So this is how we need to do it. We need to make sure the banks run like this. We need to make sure they operate like that. And then what we need to do is we need to marry our families together. And this is going to be the only way we reproduce. We're going to keep power within the bloodlines and the families.
Blue
You know what I mean?
bloods right there. Blue
Right.
blood.
And let's take it a step further. He brought up Hollywood. Hollywood alone has its own egregor. Egregor is a collective thinking of an entire group which creates a culture. It's a
Mm-hmm.
reason why Hollywood depicts actors in a particular fashion, where you only have black people get certain roles and white people get roles. This was the infrastructure, right? It all kind of started with Birth of a Nation, not the Birth of a Nation that we know, but the original
Original
Birth of
version.
where black people was portrayed as animalistic beings and people that should be killed and all this type of shit. They said that was the first film that was displayed in the White House.
And don't
Right.
forget that film was also nothing more than a hearsay.
Right. So what happened after that? We brought up the blue blood. So you got these Eastern Europeans with money. It's like, look, if you got the talent to produce a film and you produce it within the image we see fit, you can marry into our wealth and our family. Now
Mm-hmm.
you have the Hollywood blue bloods. And these algorithms are set in place for a particular reason. So when he's speaking on it, before black people get offended, first do your homework and see where he's coming from. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my shit on that right now with the
Oh,
Hollywood. Mhm.
so, okay, perfect. Another thing I was gonna bring up, I finally got the guy name. His name was George Soros. We all know about George Soros. I'm pretty sure everybody never looked into the
Right.
story of George Soros. But even with George Soros' situation, you can
Mhm.
actually watch his interview, and he'll tell you out loud how he got to power. And it's like, damn, like
Big
that's
bro.
what you did. That's the blueprint. But you
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? And one of the major things I loved about what he said, bro. These people are making he called it trauma economy. I was like,
Mhm.
God damn.
Mhm.
Like these people just making money off of people's traumas. And they're making money off of people's traumas. Like that's what they do. They stir up the media and they do things of that nature to where you actually get pulled into it to make and they want to make money off of it, right?
Mhm.
Like you know what I'm saying? It's very interesting when I look at that situation as he was talking about it. All right, I started looking over what's been happening. You know, police brutality. You got the Black Lives Matter. You had the riots. You still got what they got going on right now. Quote unquote war between male and females, blacks against blacks. I'm like, yo, bro, he's really talking some shit because it is trauma in the economy to a point where they're making sure people buy into something so they can keep selling it to you, right? Um, I don't know. I'm gonna ask you this question. How do you actually feel about the situation with him wearing a White Lives Matter shirt? The reason I want to bring that up is because um, people benefited off the Black Lives movement, right? Let's just keep it funky, bro. Right? I remember Uber Eats. They were like, "Hey, black-owned restaurants, free deliveries, right?" I was ordering like a motherfucker out there, right? Like everybody was benefiting off, the tragic situation that happened. But you know, let's be honest, them people didn't give a fuck. Like they just like, all right, bro, let's take this and let's run with it, right?
Mhm.
And I seen people that were white, Asian, Hispanic. They're all wearing Black Lives Matter shirt, right? And I know some of them really didn't give a fuck. They're just wearing it just to wear it, like, hey, like we support you. Yeah, yeah, man. Da, da, da. You know, and I remember even people were the craziest thing. People were editing pictures, having Black Lives Matter written on them, right? Meaning, like, all you have to do is look at their shadow, and the shadow don't even match the sign. Like, so people wanted to benefit off the trauma and rage that was going on to show their quote unquote support. So I'm kind of looking at it like this, like, okay, if every race can wear, Black Lives Matter, and just a black guy wearing White Lives Matter, I was like, it really didn't affect me, bro. It really didn't affect. I was like, oh, it's Kanye, and you know what I'm saying. But I see people was uproared about it. But like I said, even when he was explaining it, I was like, bro, he's not really wrong about what he's saying. I don't know why people get offended. He's really being dead ass honest. But we said when he did that, and notice that he said it was a Jew that stopped my own production on the White Lives Matter shirt. I was like, shit. Like I said, I was like, damn, bro, like whatever you connected to, like people will hold it against you, even if you got a message behind it. Like you can't wear a White Lives Matter shirt. You're black, right? That's just like goddamn fucking Joe Biden said, "Vote for me or you're not black." What the fuck? What's the difference? what the fuck is the difference right there, man? But like I said, I don't want to get too winded over it. What did you think about when that situation happened with the White Lives Matter shirt?
All right, so first, Black Lives Matter. You brought up a name. Bring it up again. Supposedly George Soros is the person that funded Black Lives Matter, right? And y'all gonna have to do some homework on lineage of people and what they did throughout history just to understand the conversation. Everybody can't give you the answers and break everything down for you. You have to do a little research. All right, so boom. Out of all the money that Black Lives Matter accumulated throughout that whole run, none of that money went back to black people. They
At
didn't
all? At
any
all?
any schools, anything for black people, right? So they collected a lot of free money, right? So Kanye, well, excuse me, Ye said, Black Lives Matter and uh, White Lives Matter is like a cold shower and a hot shower, right? Both have a connection. So when he broke down the White Lives Matter shirt, he said people wore a Black Lives Matter shirt, and that became the value system of a black life because someone put it on a shirt, right? Fuck the actual life and the value of the life itself within this economy, in this world. Just put it on a shirt and now Black life matters. So he said, I'm going to take the same concept with a white life, and I'm going to put White Lives Matter on a shirt. So now white lives have a value because I put it on a shirt. I
Mm.
was, I was like, damn, okay. I,
People, that's what I'm saying. People don't understand what he did. So I like,
you reciprocating the same energy that they put on your life. Put the shit on the shirt, and now you got value. So, but with the emotional intelligence that we have as a people and as a mass of people, we don't get to the facts and the fine print. We don't put that kind of time and energy into understanding things. We just go with what the TV screen says or our cell phones say. You know, back in the gap, they control people with the newspaper, the headlines of the newspaper. People didn't read the fucking story,
ooh,
bold print.
just
Now,
bold print. That's it.
cell phones. We look at what the fucking cover page says, what's in bold, and we done with it. Now let's get emotional. That guy gave a whole rant about why he created that T-shirt. So that's my response on the whole like White Lives Matter shirt thing.
Okay.
A personal body blow to Black Lives Matter
Yeah.
in his own way.
Mm-hmm.
But surface value, black guy, White Lives Matter shirt, that nigga Conan.
God damn, get this nigga out of here, man.
To the
You know
segment
what I said, yo.
19 Keys was like, look, bro, the same people that's mad at Kanye for wearing a White Lives Matter shirt are the same people that got an image of white Jesus in their house, right? The pot called him Kettle Black,
Right.
right? he can't do what he want to do in his own fashion, but you can do what you want to do in your fashion. Why? Because it's accepted by the masses.
Mm-hmm.
We got to have this whole concept of what's accepted and not accepted, and be your own person.
Mm-hmm.
So I was taught to always be a leader, not a follower. I don't know how y'all was raised. So
Mm-hmm. Oh, little bro had asked a question. He said, "Why do people have to see things as a color?" Um, how that came about, Teddy, was what had happened was for every movement that black individuals ever had, they always made a counter movement against it. So when people start seeing like, "Yo, why is it every time we make a movement, y'all make a counter movement against it?" What is the purpose of that, right? You know, for instance, you have Black Lives Matter. All of a sudden, you have Police Lives Matter. Then you
all,
had All Lives Matter. It was always opposing side that always had to counter like what we had. Like,
so
why do we see color as what it is? It's because remember, media feeds into a lot of things, right?
mm,
Even like we find out there's a lot more white on white crime than it is black on black crime.
right.
But the media doesn't tell the world that. So we all as an emotional people that we are, or people that's not in tech, we're only going to feed it to what we see, and
Mm-hmm,
that's why you need emotional intelligence,
mm-hmm,
right? That's why we have frontline soldiers, and then you have generals in the back directing where everything needs to go. He needs to go here. Chessboard. You got pawns, kings, knights, bishops, all that. It's the same way, even in the real world. Um, Me personally, you know, we grew up in a diverse neighborhood. I love everybody. I don't really try to pinpoint out where I need to be in my life, but I work off genuine relationships. But at the same time, I do believe, and some points you do have to make a standpoint in ways where people can understand where you're coming from, right? And sometimes the most interesting thing is when people actually ask you, "Yo, how do you really feel?" Right? And I remember when a white guy finally asked me so when I was a kid, and he was like, "Yo, how does it really feel to like be black?" You know, at first it was like, "Yo, what the fuck is he talking about?" But he said his mind was so shaped up by what his parents said and what TV projected. But he said, "But you're my friend, and I don't even see you live like that or go through that." So
mm-hmm.
we just got to keep an open mind when it comes to those types of situations.
Cool.
Um,
Hold on.
Go
Before
ahead.
we go on.
Go ahead.
Another thing that people got to realize, and I'm going to emphasize a point that you made, not to cut your wisdom, but
No, go ahead.
that when we look at the Asian oppression within America, right? They were oppressed at one particular time within America. That's factual information. But however, they still was allowed to have Chinatown. They still were allowed to have their own community and build their own community within the system. If we
Uh-huh.
look the quote unquote the Mexican or the Latino within America, they come from some of the same hoods we come from, right?
Right.
They have the same exposure to gang activity and poverty that we have, right? But at the same time, they still have their own communities that they are allowed to thrive within. They even have native tongues. See, all these groups we're bringing up, the Asians, the Hispanics, they still have a connection to their lineage, their background.
Mm-hmm.
Black
Their own
people,
language. Yeah.
that's the biggest difference as to why, you know what I'm saying, we have to emphasize color at particular moments because it's like if we don't understand our battle personally, first and foremost, we'll get lost in the sauce. We'll be fighting everybody's battle, fighting too many battles, and we
Mm-hmm.
have to as a people that's separate and indifferent from everybody else. So while everybody else still got their communities and thrive and still have their collective of group economics and all these other things that's employed, when we tried that same shit, it was cut off every single time. It was cut off. Look
Every
at
time.
Black Wall Street, it was cut off. It was like hundreds of Black Wall Streets that was cut off. They killed the people.
Rosewood, all
They
that.
flooded the areas, and now it's like a river or a lake or a dam or some shit like that.
Mm,
We left to our vices the same way other people are.
mm.
But we still got some of us that's ignorant that, you know what I mean, that even if we did have our own vices left to us, we'd fuck that up too. So I'm not playing victim, I'm just calling it how it is. That's the
Mm,
big difference between us and other groups. Other groups were left to their own vices to do them,
mm.
do them however they saw fit, still to this day. So you can take it somewhere else.
No, the last thing I was just gonna say, that's why at one point in like black and brown unity was so big, right? Back then. It still is. Like I grew up in that type of community, right? You had Cesar Chavez. I don't know if y'all know about Cesar Chavez. You had Cesar Chavez linking up with the Black Panthers. You know what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
forgot the name. I forgot the name they had when they called each other when they joined forces. But that was on the basis of like, look, we understand what you're going through. You understand what we're going through. We might as well link up and make this shit work together. So that's when a lot of things start taking off. And guess what? They infiltrated that shit too. It's like, yeah, we can't even connect with another race and build up or get ourselves out there from there. Um, so another point I wanted to connect on the interview that I liked as well. Like I said, I liked a lot of things that uh, Kanye West was saying, but it's amazing to me like how the room was, right? How the room was reacting when he said the word Jew. Everybody was like, I don't know, ooh. Like it's like saying, hey man, the devil right there, ooh. Like I was like, damn man, like I never see, but it lets me know how powerful people are. Episode before then, I told y'all before, look, when it comes to this world, you gotta play the game. He played the game all the way up to a billionaire. He
Mhm.
said, look, my money's not tied to anything, so they can't cancel me. That's the shit I was talking about. You gotta build yourself to a point where wherever they attack you, nothing can be penetrated. Right? He was talking about Adidas. Talked about it last time. Adidas, he said, I'm 68% of their online sales. You're gonna have to give me something at this point. Right? And I was just like, yo, man, like y'all are like not seeing the genius behind what this man is doing.
Mhm.
So you got to build yourself up to a point where you can't be bought out. That's why he's saying this thing like, look, I'm not apologizing on nothing. Y'all can't buy me out. You're not going to shut me up. And that is power, man. That is absolute power. Like, whew, man, that's all I can talk about right there, man. We keep talking about that, man. You're going to have to play the game until you get on a level where you can't be bought out. You can't be sold.
Mhm.
Or you play the game to a certain level, did you make the adjustments you want to make so you can maintain the sort of living, or you can act how you want to act. So, as you can tell, the difference between everybody in there, when Kanye was in there, he spoke his mind. Everybody was on the edge. After the interview was over, Kanye stood still while other people was apologizing for his behavior.
Mhm.
One is still relying on a paycheck from other people. The other don't give a fuck because he's not tied to you. That's all I got.
I'm gonna squeeze in 2 points at the same time.
Go
Save
ahead.
time. The Hispanic community is on this whole political campaign, even as of last election, where they saying, look, Democrats, if you want our votes, you're gonna have to work for it. You have to
Yeah.
do something for me to get our votes. Right? So here you got black people saying the same thing. We call them crazy, we call them coons. Right? And this is what he was saying. I'm jealous of the Jewish community. I'm jealous of their group economics. I'm jealous of their positioning. People don't understand what he was talking about. What he's saying is the jealousy is that let's just not even say you stole my identity and you eat it. Let's speak to the different sector of people.
Mhm.
I see how y'all move. You left to your own vices. You was able to overcome oppression. You was able to conquer different things throughout society and thrive in your own capacity. And I want that for my people.
Whew.
That was the thing that caught me.
That was
That's
the
when,
thing he was talking about. He said, I'm just jealous.
and he even said, "I don't hate all Jewish people."
Mhm.
And I quote, he said, "I don't hate Jewish people. It's just
Mhm.
the ones that control the business and all these other type of things that's
The
fuck
media.
people out of their rites of passage to success. Those are the people I got beef with." He said that.
Mhm.
So, and then it's going to tie into the whole Rosenberg interview that Nori did, right? Design Rosenberg, Jew, whatever. Let's keep it going. So he's apologizing on Ye's behalf, saying that I didn't know he was going to say that. If I had known that, I wouldn't have did it. I regret the interview. When bro said I failed as a black man, that did something to me. Cause I'm like, really? You made music about selling drugs. The culture that we incorporate in Drink Champs is that you can have people on there that talked about selling drugs, killing other black people, pimps. You can have all that on the show. Let a black dude speak his mind. That's against the grain. Now I'm ashamed as a black man.
Mm.
What did Ye do? Hey, people, don't even be mad at Nori. I understand what he had to do. He had to apologize.
Mm.
Right? That's that's like still honor at the same time. Like, don't even be mad at him. I totally get it. He could have went on a campaign and said, fuck Nori. Right? The same way he felt that a lot of people may have consumed the message.
Mm.
So this whole apology campaign, we seen the same thing happen with Nick Cannon. You know what I mean? As soon as
Mm.
then had Professor Griff go
Mm.
and study who Professor Griff is, you got to do some homework. When
Yeah.
he the comments they did about the whole Hebrew conversation and stolen identity shit, what happened? Nick Cannon damn near lost everything overnight. He had to come back and apologize. As soon as he apologized, all right, nigga, you can get back on TV.
Yeah,
Don't
man.
get
We
him.
can't your black ass, you know.
I'm gonna tap back. So that's all I got on that is this whole apology campaigns, and it just goes to show if he was lying about the control of Jewish media, why would black people have to go and apologize for making these type of comments? Who's making
Exactly.
it? Who's cutting their water off? All right, you know what I mean. So that's all I got on that for.
Man, definitely. I'm gonna go ahead and piggyback off that. Listen, how you know how strong you are as an individual and how well you influence others. That was actually one of the biggest points that Nick Cannon went through, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Nick Cannon went through that situation, you know what they did? They went to his own show and said, "Hey, Nick Cannon, now which one of y'all want to be the host?" His
Mm-hmm.
whole cast said, "Hey, we ain't doing that shit."
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell people this is how you know how strong your network is in the future, right? I
Mm-hmm.
said, look, my network was weak back then, right? If I'm not fucking with somebody, that doesn't mean that person stops doing business with them, right? My network now is on a level like if I don't fuck with you, they cut you off too,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's how it should be. Like, um, man, he was even talking about that on the podcast, right? Like he was saying, it's like it's amazing. Like, yo, we got to stop saying fuck you to everybody. We got to learn how to just come back. We always talk about that Marlon Wayne situation. He said, "Look, white people get mad at each other and then come back like, all right, man, fuck it. I got an idea though. Let's still make some money, right?" And we got to be able to get on that path as well. Like I said, bro, that was some powerful ass shit when it came to that interview. People don't like the interview. I know that you really just don't understand. Like it's just no way. Like you don't. Like I said, he did have his sporadic moments. He did have some sporadic moments. I can't lie. But even as he had those moments, as I'm analyzing them, at some points I can literally see as if he's talking in a booth again. You could,
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know if you peeped that. Like, it seemed like all of a sudden he snapped into a rapping style as he talking. Then he'll snap back to the Black Panther, the way his father raised him, and even he said his father said like, "Look, Kanye, I need you. We understand what you're saying, but you need to be more articulate when you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're not conveying your message well to a point where it gets out there, people don't understand you, and then you got to go back and re-clean it up." He said, "No, this is what I meant to say." He's like, "Yo, you got to get to that point where you say that the first time, because there's times where you have word vomit, right? Word vomit can happen to any of us. Sometimes I do it, sometimes X has done it, and that's when we realize, like, oh, look, I'm talking too long. Let me let you take over. That's another thing. His word vomit or places even during the interview, he was like, they was like, "Yo, slow down, relax." You're like, "Oh, okay, okay, okay." He gets that time to slow down to where he can think. Uh, the interview I watched before then, another reason why, like he said, look, certain people I get interviewed by, I don't use profanity. And I'm like, whew. He said, but when I'm with other people, I can let loosen because I need to be intertwined with that audience. I need to be able to be myself and express myself with the audience, right? So you will have people who watch the interview will be like, "Yo, he's talking about God one minute, he's using profanity the next minute, he's talking about sex in 1 minute, then he's talking about like, I don't understand." That man has a different crowd. It's a very diverse crowd. Even when he made the White Lives Matter shirt, you should see the people that ran behind him. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about the people that ran behind him when he made the shirt. Even black individuals did.
Mm-hmm.
So all I say is just pay attention to what you're not seeing. There's always an underlying thing that's being taken place.
Cool deal. When we talk about sports alone, what it's broken down to me is if you study the owners of majority of the teams, lineage may be Jewish of some sort. Maybe some integral role. right? But it connects back to that culture. So let's look at a person like Lamar Jackson. Why the fuck you think he ain't got his money guaranteed the way he should? You got all these other quarterbacks that have not, that don't have the accolades that he have, right? But he hasn't got his contract, right? Why? My theory, he's his own agent. If he breaks that barrier with a person that got the skill and the mindset of owning their own shit, what would that do to the algorithm of athletes that's black? They got the skill and the mindset as well. Hey, I don't need no agent. I'm my own agent. You want to do a business deal with me? Call my mom.
Oh,
No shit. So like, cool. If we pay this dude and give him 200-300 mil guaranteed, that's gonna change the whole algorithm.
mhm.
And Rose did an interview with EYL, and he was like, "Look, if we look at the whole college system and how these players are getting fucked, it's ridiculous,
Mhm.
right? A lot of these players could go right to the league, but they got to feed the beast first. The beast is the system. They got to go to college first, feed that system, and then we'll let you go to the next phase.
We need 3 years out of you, buddy. We need that
Can't
money.
skip those steps, even though it's proven that athletes in basketball could go straight from high school to the league and be successful,
Mhm.
right? So we just got to study this shit more so. And a thing that I want everybody to take away from this, go in Google and search Jewish businessman in America, right? Since we want to say Kanye bugging. And just scroll, 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 scroll. They're gonna have the industries laid out for you, and you're gonna just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And you're gonna see that's who conquers the music, sports, and
90% of the United States.
right. So uh, that's my cap on that, man. That's my cap on
Even
that.
the motherfucking wars. Did y'all know that? Right? So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the situation, right? Let's say
Mhm,
you need money for a war, right? Damn, man, we ain't got the money. Who we gonna get it from? Well, shit, Rosenberg's like down the street. Let's go holler at that dude.
mhm,
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, all right, I'll fund your war.
mhm,
Person on the opposing side. Hey, man, we
mhm,
ain't got the money for the war. Well, shit, so and so right there. All right, they're both Jewish, right? But this is the most incredible part that I had to learn, right? Let's say the war ends, one side loses. What they do is make you recover the damages on what that person lost in his money. I said, oh shit, this is how they stay winning. So even though they both funded one side, they make you pay for the other side who funded that war. So they don't lose money, they damn so. I was like, God damn. Now this is why they stay winning. They'll make you pay for another person's lost money because there's someone already connected. Like, hey, we don't lose money around here. You're gonna have to fund his stuff right back though. But we're gonna give you the war you want. Yeah, that's no problem. And I was like, yo, man, like they really play chess with everything they do. Everything comes back in return.
mhm.
So I always remember, like it made me think about situations like, yo, what if our people was like that ourselves? Like not necessarily with war, but just amongst each other. Like, hey, look, I funded your business. I know y'all opposing competitors, but look, he's about to go in bankruptcy. I'm at least need you to cover at least 50% on his side of that interest that he put in that investment. I was like, yo, man, we'll be unstoppable. Why? Because we're already the highest consumers in the United States. So imagine that. And one thing I did love that Kanye West said that I believe all of us should pay attention to is when he mentioned, like, look, if I ride this hard for y'all need to ride the same way for me. When I told y'all my kids got kidnapped, nobody really believed me. And I was like, yo, that really spoke to me because, like, situations when we was growing up, when it was time to ride, like, it wasn't no excuses. There were no excuses. Hey, let you not get in this car.
Get in the car.
Let you not get in this car, man. There's no excuses. You know
I'm
what I'm
talking-
saying? I didn't roll for you. You gonna ride for me. Hey, hey, go ahead, take over, man. I can't talk about that.
One of my last 2 points, I'll bring up Ice Cube. Ice Cube is very respected throughout the music industry. when he was attacking NWA, and he was like, "You let a Jew break up my crew," and he was going at that whole right.
Woo, yes.
They said the same thing about him. He was being anti-Semitic because he just said the word Jew. You know what I mean? That's a stronghold they got on the word Jew, homosexual. There's strongholds on these words now. So if you mention them, you got a phobia. If our kids now say black and white, they're like, damn, you being racist, right? But somehow everybody can say nigga. And it's clean across the board. There's no tension behind the word nigga being utilized in different people's culture. Now going back to Ice Cube. Ice Cube got the Big Three League, the only black league that's owned by a black man, right?
Right. And it just went like official, like last week or something like that. It just made like big noise.
Right. So he did an article stating that ESPN and the NBA, ESPN is owned by Disney. Disney, going back to what Kanye was saying about Jews, all right?
And with everything.
NBA, Jewish people own teams. He said that these two organizations was kind of trying to destroy his business.
Mm.
So that's just a little example of what Ye was talking about, right? And that's an example of what we mentioned earlier, where people go against the grain, black people left to their own devices, and then they get encountered with some type of resistance. So that's just my little cap on Ice Cube. But I was just simply
Man,
saying,
that just popped in my head, man. My fault. But yeah, but even when Ice Cube got labeled that, remember he funded everything on his own, even his own movies. Y'all forgot that. Like when they went after him, what I say, if you're not tied to anything, you can still exist.
hmm,
But go ahead, bro.
I think it's something else. Floyd Mayweather made a comment to me that sticks in my head. He said, "Look, don't call me an African American. Call me an American." He said, "When you look at white people, you don't say they're European American. You call them American, right? So why not call me an American?" He said, "When I fight in the Olympics, they don't say that's an African American fighting for America. They say that's an American fight.
American.
So give me that same respect." I was like, it could be making sense, man. You know what I mean?
But people don't be like I said, bro. It takes a different level of emotional intelligence to understand what people are saying. I tell people that all the time. It's like, look, whatever team you play for, you're that team.
Hmm.
Separately, you're gonna be whatever the fuck you are. I remember like they was talking about even in the military and Olympic Games. They said, "Yo, you go in there and war together as the Army, the Navy, the U.S. Olympic teams.
Go back
You
home.
come back home,
So
hey nigga, then you go back to that. But if you just become a one set individual or straightforward or a nation, whatever you want to call it, then it's hard to penetrate who you're going to be. But that's why I can understand what Tay was like, yo, why we got to put everything around color. I like he got a point. If it was just one thing, hey, American, whatever we want to call ourselves, then you can't technically do statistics on every individual because then you're doing statistics on everyone as a whole. That's why I like when he said, look, if one Jew does bad, it's just that guy. But if one Jew is successful, it's all the Jews. I was like, yo, man, crazy world we live in, y'all.
man. I'll just close off on this. If Kanye's crazy for even mentioning the word Jew or even being outspoken or against the grain,
Mm-hmm.
that means what we saying is in this particular day, Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad,
Mm-hmm.
Erkan,
Marcus Garvey.
Stokely Carmichael, Huey Newton.
I'm about to say UP News.
Right. That means all these people today you would be against because they spoke that same shit but better and
Wait.
more. So that means if he's crazy, you got to put all those people in the crazy category as well. And you got to admit that if they was here in modern day right now, I'd ride against them too. You know what I mean? So it touched me that black people could say, fuck Kanye. And it's pretty much saying that nigga coming from black people. But when it come down to the people that he's mentioning, we don't have that same animosity towards those people
Right.
or the lineage or the groups that they come from. Right. So look, if we're going to advance as a majority, if we're going to advance as a people, if we're going to advance as a culture, we got to start reading and study. There's no more excuses I can't interpret what I'm reading, and I fuck all that. We're gonna have to start doing our own homework at some point of our lives to stop all this nonsense. Media should not be able to manipulate us and control us by far. And we all computers in our pockets that we own 24/7. So that's my close off on that. We gotta really indulge into our intelligence first and foremost, and then conquer that emotional intelligence as well. So I'm done. I'll cut it short.
Man, I'm lying. I got one more thing.
What do you think?
One thing I also love was like the way that man was talking about family, bro. Like I don't, like I said, people always talk about like men don't want to be in the households, men don't want family. Like no, no, no. It takes when certain individuals speak, you gonna make a man want that same shit, bro. Like he was like, bro, they took everything from me. I have no friends. I have no family. They succeeded in tearing me apart. And he brought up the situation he had with his son. He said, look, my 6-year-old son came to choir practice. And he was like, wait, why am I doing this? I'm not even gonna go to your school. He said, he said, if I can't tell my son who's 6 years old what to do, imagine what happened to him at like 16 or 18. He might end up getting hurt. But see, that's what happens when you successfully remove the father out the home. And I was like, God damn. I don't think I understand. He's like, this is what happens when we move the father out the home. Now the kids feel like they're not entitled or should give the same respect because he's no longer in that same household. And he's also talking about how they had individuals pulling his wife against him, right? And I was just like, yo, man, I don't think y'all understand. Like the shit you gotta fight for as a man is beyond measure, you know. And he also brought up this stuff. He's like, look, come on, man, look at how they was painting my wife. They said in honor of her grandmother, Pete and them had sex by the fireplace. He said, look, I can't tell y'all how like how that affects me. And I was like, damn. And he also made the shirt White Lives Matter. He was like, because white lives do matter. He's like, my wife is white. Her life do matter. Like he got really emotional. Like he letting you feel that. I was like, yo, he's fighting for more things than which people are averagely seeing. It's really about that family. And the way he was talking about, like, look, if we could put fathers back in the households in the future, there's no telling what this world would be. And I was just like, damn. Nigga about to make me want kids right now. But yeah, but like I said, I had to bring that moment up, man. The way that man was talking about how he was fighting for his family, how he said the way he loved Kim, like how he wants to get back with. I'm like, whoo, that man, shit. I think they just divorced. The man talking about, look, I need to get my family back still.
Well, one more on
Oh my
that.
God, man.
Going back to this old Pete shit, and this my cap. Pete was a nobody pretty much before Kim K. Now, bro got movies, commercials. I just want y'all to sit with that for a moment. Look at who he had a relationship with, who she was with prior, what Kanye did with that whole image. Black man, white woman, quote unquote, became a billionaire. I'm still thinking he crossed the barrier that wasn't supposed to happen on that level, right? So now she do her thing with Pete. Pete career is taking off. I just want y'all to sit on that for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Just how does this guy, right, come out of nowhere, get with Kim K, boom. They break up, boom. Now dude he on TV now. More so than he was before. I just want y'all to think about that. So,
Yeah, I've seen him in a couple films before, but definitely.
yeah.
And it's funny because the way that family is set up is all marketing based at the same time. They were like, yo, you with Pete, and your ratings is going down. Yeah, get rid of this nigga. I said, and like a person was pinpointing that stuff out. Running the
Fixing the broken man.
yes, instead of they were looking at the comparison, like, yo, bro, like you're going lower being with this man than it is when you was with Kanye, right? And another thing that Kanye brought up, he said, look, this is one of the biggest things I fear from our family. We all eventually found out Kim signed paperwork for that sex tape. He said, look, if I'm not in that house, it's no telling that the mother's gonna try to do the second sex tape with one of my daughters. And I was like, oh shit. And I was like, God damn, like y'all don't understand, like the mom had the sex tape. They organized them to make more sex tape and pick which one to sell it to Vivid. And I was like, bro, so the truth came out that the sex tape wasn't leaked by Ray J. It was Chris, the mother, the Chris, if y'all know who Chris is, one of the biggest marketing geniuses out there. She marketed her own daughter to sell it to help them get back moving in a financial status. Because I learned during that time period, there was actually in bankruptcy, they was losing a lot of money. So that sex tape being sold is what helped save that family. So you never know who the individual was around. He's like, no, I got to get my daughter away from that woman because no telling what's going on through their minds. That's why he was going on a rant like, yo, get my kids off of TikTok, get my kids off of this. Like I said, they're already getting exposed to the camera so quick and so young to a point they're just gonna be Life of the Kardashians. It's like, yo, they're just gonna be another marketed individuals. Like he said,
Hey,
he didn't want his kids on Disney. He didn't want none of that. Guess what? He said Disney. You know why he said Disney now.
about pushing Pete, hey, if y'all gonna fuck with family, man. That's the mantra. Hey, black people following this whole Jewish model that Kanye kept speaking about. Make sure by 12 years old, at least minimum, your kids got a bank account. Make sure they got a custodial account, right? Early stages of life. And then make sure by the time they graduate high school, they got at minimum at least 2 businesses that they own and operate. I think people miss the whole shit of what he's saying he was jealous of. It's how they play ball. It's how they play.
Unity is
Right.
you.
So let's build our infrastructures. Let's make sure we operate our families after the modeling fashion that other groups have done that has been proven successful. None of this shit that we've been doing throughout all this time. Let's step it up. Let's make sure, you know, 9 income sources is the goal. You feel me? Let's push the margin within our own culture. So
Oh, my father blowing out my candle.
yeah.
You go ahead and wrap it up.
All right. So great episode. Hope y'all liked it. Make sure you share it. Make sure you watch it when it hit the YouTube channel. I go by the name of King Exodus up top. We got No Ordinary Brother. Make sure you follow us on IG. Follow Talking and Talk Official Podcast on IG. And we both have the YouTube links posted within our bios. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We got plenty more content. So we appreciate y'all for watching.
All right, y'all. Y'all have a nice night. Peace.